This is an intro to statistics. I'm going to focus on how to use graphing calculators for mean and median. For the mode, we're going to have to do that manually. I'm going to talk about the Box and Whisker plot. I'll also show you how to use Desmos.com to plot that graph, the 5-number summary, variance and standard deviation, range and interquartile range, which is often shown as IQR. And if we were given a data set like this one, if we were doing it manually, what you'd want to do is put it in ascending order, meaning from least to greatest. And the reason you want to do that is because there's going to be questions such as like your range where you want to quickly be able to identify your smallest number and your biggest number. So we'll just jump to that one real quick. So for my range, I see that my maximum, and that's also something that you'll find, is 10, and then my minimum, which means the smallest number, is 1. So what I'm doing when I am taking the range or finding the range is I'm just subtracting the two. So my maximum, like I said, is 10. I'm going to take the difference and I'm going to subtract 1, which is known as my minimum. This is not going to be given to you in a calculator. I can show you where to look to find the information, but it's not going to just be given just like the mean and the median. That information you can find it in the calculator. So 10 minus 1 is 9. So that's your range. Mode, another way to think of mode is it starts with MO. So mode is the number in your set that you see the most. So MO, most. And you can have more than one mode. So if I put it in ascending order, like I said, it's easier to see. I see I have 2 3s, 2 6s, and 2 7s. So all 3 of those are referred to as my mode. So I would put 3, 6, and 7 as my answer. Now, if I am trying to find the median, what I would do is I'm looking for the middle portion of my entire data set. If it's an even set, like now, if I count this, that's 8 numbers. If it's even like that, you're looking for the middle, which is going to end up being 2 numbers. You're going to have to take those 2 numbers, add them, and then take the average, which means you're going to divide it by 2. So 6 plus 6 is 12. 12 divided by 2 just happens to be 6. So I know that's going to be my median. And we're going to verify this in the calculator. So we're looking for the median to be 6. Well, the mean, and I'm definitely going to do that in the calculator for time's sake, is simply adding all of the numbers that are in your data set and then dividing it by the total numbers that are in there. So in this case, you would be dividing by 8. All right, so let's go to our calculator. And what you want to do is you want to go to your statistics button. And once you go to your statistics, you'll see number 1 that says edit. Go ahead and click that. And I've already put the numbers in for you, 3, 7, and I didn't put them in order. Let's just say, and I don't want to mess that up. So let's go over to our list 2 and just randomly put in some numbers. And what I'm doing is just putting in a number, hitting enter, or you can hit down. And I'm not putting them in a specific order. So I want to put them in ascending order. So in order to do that, I would go back out to stat, and then I'll notice for number 2, if I go down to number 2, it tells me that I can sort A. That means ascending. So it's going to sort from least to greatest. So I hit enter, and it's going to ask me, well, what do I want to sort? I want list 2 to be sorted. List 2 is in blue right above the number 2. So in order to access it, I go to second and then hit the number 2, and it shows list 2. I'm going to put the in parentheses, enter, and it tells me it's done. So now if I go back to stat, or I could have hit second list, and then I hit edit, which is number 1, I'll notice in my list 2 is now counting in ascending order. So while I'm in here, another thing I want to show you is if just say you messed up all of those numbers, you want to put something else in there. If you want to clear everything out without going one by one, highlight the list that you actually want to clear and then hit clear. And you'll notice at the bottom is blinking, hit enter, and you'll see that now that list is clear. So let's go out of here and well, actually, let's go to stat again. So we're going to click the stat button. Now that I see that my list one has my numbers in it, hit stat, go to the right arrow and hit calc, which is calculate. And then number one is already selected, hit enter. Depending on your calculator, some of you, if you have the older calculator, you have to hit enter again. But if you have this type calculator, go down to calculate, make sure your list is the correct list, which it is here. And what you will see is a bunch of information. Now, if the very first one that you see is the mean, which is that 5.375. That is what we want to actually put here. So 5.375. And if you were to actually manually add all of these numbers and then divide by 3, and it doesn't, in this case, it didn't have to be in ascending order to get your mean. I may have said divide by 3, I meant divide by 8. So if you were to add all of those and divide by 8, this is the number that you would have come up with. But say that you don't want to add all the numbers. Well, you don't have to. If you go to right under mean, that tells you that if you were to take all of your x's and add them together, it will be 43. So then if you took the 43 and divided it by 8, which is shown if you go down some more, where it says n equals 8, that's telling you how many numbers you have in your data set. So 43 divided by 8 is where that mean is coming from. What we are focused on is going to be the standard deviation, which is shown in two ways. There's a sample standard deviation and there is a population standard deviation. So the one with the S is sample, and then the one that is the Greek alphabet sigma is going to be for your population. That's the one we want. So, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go to the 5 number summary. And we're going to use that same data set, and I'm going to show you how to plot your box whisker. So this is all going hand in hand, your box and whisker plot, so that you can get the information to fill in for your 5 number summary. So let's go back to the calculator. I've already put the information in, but in order to actually make sure your graph is correct, you would have to go to second and then y equals, and make sure that your plot 1 is on. So 1 is highlighted, hit enter, make sure it's on, go down, and then for the type, scroll over until you get to the box and whisker, hit enter. And now since all of my information is already in and I want list 1, if I hit graph, it's gonna do the box and whisker for me. Now, in order to find my 5 number summary, if I hit my trace, what's going to happen is the cursor is going to pop up and it automatically defaults to my median, which is 6. But let's say if I went all the way over, because I have 5 numbers I want. So the minimum is 1. So I'm going to go back and forth. So this is 1. We already saw that the median was 6. If I arrow over, it's automatically going to go to my Q1. So if I look at the bottom left of my screen, it says Q1 is 3, which represents my lower quartile. And now again, if I scroll over, it tells me MED, which stands for median, is 6. We already have that. The next one, if I go over to the right, is Q3, which is 7. That's quartile 3, the upper quartile, and it's 7. And then if I arrow over one more time, it tells me at the bottom, the max is X is equal 10. This is my 5 number summary if I'm using the calculator. So let's say I wanted to go to Desmos. So if I go to Desmos, I go to Math Tools, Graphing Calculators. And once it pops up, you're gonna hit your keyboard function. and actually hit the functions button. Choose DIST and then box plot. Now here, when it's asking you to enter your data set, you have to put a bracket in there. Now you can start entering your information. So I'm going to use the same numbers, 3, comma, 7, well, yeah, comma, 7, comma, 3, 10, 1, 6, and 6. You'll notice as I'm typing, it's forming the box plot over to the right. So if I can't see all of it, then I can zoom in or out. So I'm going to zoom out. And now if I click here, I can kind of, well, I don't even have to click. I can just visually look at it. And I see that my units are counting by ones. So my minimum is 1, 2, 3. My Q1 is 3. If I go to my next line, my median, which is also known as Q2, is 6. Q3 is 7. And my maximum is 10. So this is how you would use it if you were using Desmos. Okay. That's for, and this is what the box and whisker looks like. Now, some people like myself don't necessarily put this straight line or whisker. We just put 2 points. Either way is okay. All right, so now my interquartile range, do not get that confused with your range. Your interquartile range is the quartile or Q3 minus Q1. So we already have that information. We have 7 and we have 3. So what I'm going to do is just take the difference between the two. So 7 minus 3 is going to be 4. So that's my IQR. My standard deviation, and like I said, you can see it 2 different ways. We're going to go back to the calculator because it did the work for me. All I have to do is go to Stat, make sure I'm on Calculate. So I scroll over to the right once, click number 1. I'm on the right list, go back to Calculate, hit Enter. And that's why I have to know my symbols. Okay, so if I go down to where the population, the standard deviation for the population is 2.68. I'm just going to say 2.69. So that's what I'm going to write here. 2.69, but it's really this long number down here. And then for the sample, it's going to be right above it, which is a capital S, and the X is next to it, 2.875. If I rounded it, 2.86. We, in our class, we're going to focus on this one. Okay, so make sure you understand that. In the calculator, you will see that it has an X next to it. Either way is okay. For the variance, I just really take that information and then I square it. So for the sake of time, I already put it over here to the side, and I know I put it in my calculator somewhere. So let me see if I can find it. I did, but I can't find it. So let's see, 2.689679349, all raised to the second power. Okay, so this one is going to be 7.234375. And then the other one is 2.875388173 raised to the second power, 8.267857145. And so let's go back to the calculator. And what you will also notice is if I kept going down, I could also get my 5 number summary information. I'm going to go back and forth just so you can see. So you see the minimum is 1, the quartile 1 or Q1 is 3, median is 6, Q3 is 7, and maximum is 10. So going back here, I have that same information. 1, 3, 6, 7, 10. So you can get it from Desmos.com, or you can actually get it from your graphing calculator. I hope I covered everything that I wanted to cover. Oh, what I did want to talk about is, let's say you didn't have a calculator and you manually wanted to understand how to get a Q1 and Q3 and things like that. What you would do, you know that your median is somewhere in here. So this is where your median is, which is Q2. Your Q1 is the lower quartile, which is going to be in front of that. So I have to take the median between those four numbers, which will be 3 plus 3 divided by 2. So I know that my Q1 is going to fall somewhere in here. And like I just said, in order to find it, it's just like doing the median, except you only use those numbers that are in front of your median and divide it. If you find your middle number, if it's like an even set of numbers, you would have to add them together and divide by 2. So 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So that's where this is coming from. And if you were trying to find your Q3, again, after your median, you have four numbers. So since it's even, you're going to have to look for the number in the middle. And so it's right here. But I don't have an odd number. So I'm going to have to take those two numbers, add them together, and divide by 2. So 7 plus 7 is 14. 14 divided by 2 is 7, which is our Q3. That's what we said right here. And again, your minimum is the smallest number in your data set, and your maximum is the largest number in your data set. So you can do the work manually if by chance you don't have access to a graphing calculator. But if you have Desmos.com, the free graphing calculator apps on your phone, you're able to do all of everything that I just showed you. So just make sure you search on your phone for free graphing calculators. Thumbs up, subscribe. Have a great day.